Hello, I am Lautan Asima Siregar, participant of advanced class with Miss Jane as my tutor. I going to present the story of Queen Esther. The story of Queen Esther begins with a grand banquet at the palace of King Xerxes. The king had become drunk on wine and commanded that his wife, Queen Vashti, come out before everyone to show how beautiful she was. Queen Vashti refused to be paraded before everyone. King Xerxes was so angry at her disrespect and disregard for his request that he divorced her. The king called for a nationwide beauty pageant to be held to find a new attractive queen. A Jewish woman named Esther was taken with other young women to a citadel. Esther's cousin Mordecai had taken Esther in and raised her as his own after Esther's parents had died. A man named Haggai was put in charge of preparing the woman for meeting the king. Esther won. He gave favor and she was given special attention. Esther was careful, however, to not tell anyone her nationality, as Mordecai had warned her. When it was Esther's turn to go before the king, he immediately found her and most attractive and beautiful of all women and placed the royal crown on her head. Esther continued to hide her Jewish background as Mordecai had instructed her to do because he knew it would be dangerous for her if anyone found out she was a Jew. One night, when Mordecai was sitting by the king's gate, he overheard two guards conspiring to murder King Xerxes. Mordecai told Queen Esther of the plan, and Esther told the king, giving credit to Mordecai for overhearing the plan. The two guards were hanged. In the citadel there was the highest of all nobles, namely Haman, who asked everyone to bow down him. But Mordecai, Esther's cousin, refused to do so. When Haman found out about this and that Mordecai was a Jew, Haman became very angry and wanted to kill not only just Mordecai but all of the Jewish nation. Haman convinced King Xerxes to kill all Jews as they stood in opposition to the king's rule. King Xerxes agreed and set a date for all Jews to be killed. Mordecai told Esther about the king's edict to kill all the Jewish people. Esther feared for her life and tried to avoid his request to do something for save the people. Mordecai again pleaded with Queen Esther to do something to save the people. Esther responding by entrusting all Jews to join her in fasting for 3 days and 3 nights. Then she would approach the king with her request. Esther went to King Xerxes after 3 days of fasting, and the king asked her what her request was. Queen Esther asked that the king and Haman join her at a banquet the next day. The king said yes and asked Esther to let her request be known at the banquet. Haman was still so angry with Mordecai that he went to set up a pole to impale Mordecai the morning before the banquet. The king could not sleep that night and begins to read the book that contained all that had happened during his reign. The king read and was reminded of how Mordecai exposed the plot to murder the king. The king wanted to reward Mordecai for his good deed, and he called Haman in to ask what should be done for a man who the king delights in. Haman thought the king was talking about himself and responding by saying extravagant gifts and honor. Haman was even angrier when the king told him it was for Mordecai. The next day was the banquet Queen Esther had called for. The king again asked Esther what her request was so he could grant her what she wanted. Esther boldly asked that she and her people be spared, and that Haman had plotted to kill all Jews for money. The king was filled with anger against Haman and had him hang on the very pole that Haman had set up for Mordecai. Queen Esther and Mordecai were given Haman's estate. They were honored with royal garment, and a decree was written as protect all Jews. This is the end of the story. Thank you and God bless.